But basically, one of the biggest points that I had for you guys, because it was kind of like the theme of the week, and it still is the theme of the week, where I want you guys to remember something. And maybe I'll type this out real quick. I'll do little live notes so that you guys can follow along. Let me just pull up Google Docs. By the way, I'm going to show you something with Google Docs right now. By the way, if you guys are ever trying to make a copy of something, I did it to where there should just be a button now for some of them. Some of them didn't work. Some of them it doesn't. I'm still tinkering with it. But there should be a button now where you just copy and then you'll copy to your Google Drive. But if you ever see a doc like this, right? All you have to do is go File, make a copy, okay? And then copy it to your guys' drive. Super simple, okay? Because I always see these requests. I'll see, I'll see like Matt requested access to this doc, and I'm like, I would love to give you access to the doc, but then that's the master template. So, um, so this is the biggest, and I'm gonna zoom in. By the way, don't worry, guys. So the biggest lesson this week, you guys can see that. Yeah. Cool. The biggest lesson this week, there's a couple, but I want you guys to really hammer home on pulling back, right? Noah, what do you mean? Okay. Well, when most of you guys come to me, read the book, or just go down this path, right? You want to use tactics, you want insight, you want to see super quick results, which is why we have addressed the situation, which is if you've done it before, for any of the guys who've been here for a minute or have already done the address the situation, when you do it with me and we refine everything, there's a lot of little things that you could be missing. Okay. So like I tagged everyone on David's Mantra 3.0. Me and him have been going back and forth on that thing. And I would hit him up privately on Voxer for some deeper insight into his mantra because going back and forth with me on all these little things, especially on Voxer, that's a way to get an additional feedback mechanism. So at first, it's not gonna hit. Don't try to make it hit. Okay. But the more you get used to it, the more you hear it, the more you speak this language, the more you understand, okay, this is where we're at. Because when you're in a panic state, you want tactics, you want insight, you want the super quick wins. Those are our hunter mentality, okay? Which are fine in normal life, right? Where you go out and make, God damn it, where you go out and make money and go get the kill. However, I'm big on linguistics. Look at what that sounds like. One, be careful about how you talk about this or things around you. Most people go into a very combative language. Okay, well, that is annoying. Every time someone requests access, it just like stops my keyboard. Maybe it's because I changed the Apple keyboard, but okay, hold up. Very combative language. Okay. You don't want to speak combative. Tactics. What are you being tactical about? Like how to plant these seeds, how to speak the things I teach you guys are not tactics. There are ways of doing things. That's why it's so effective because it's a lifestyle, right? However, we do get quick wins. If you follow the process, I have it the way that I have it so that it snowballs. And we all start with the hardest part, which is mindset, right? But you do have to be careful on how you talk about this and your language. So if you're coming in with this hunter mindset, you're going to want to pressure. Okay. You're going to want to pressure and you end up doing it. Your wife feels it, gets scared of it, especially when this attention, oh, I can't spell today, this attention, this pressure, or any of the extra energy is put onto her. She's not used to it. She got used to being alone, being hurt, and trying to build up her own confidence ish. We'll put in quotes. It's not really confidence, but it's kind of like a mask. Confidence to leave. She believes she's being brave leaving, and she is growing in her masculine to do it. It's like a split personality almost. Okay. And so whether it's like her seeking attention from someone else, whether it's her going through this on her own and just stonewalling anger, what she's actually doing is she's finding a way to leave, right? She's finding a way with being okay with leaving. She's going through her own grieving cycles, and we're like, when we see it, it's not too late. It's just she's already gone through several grieving cycles already, meaning anger, denial, all of that, right? And the last two are bargaining and then acceptance. And bargaining is usually those little cries for help, right? And sometimes we don't see them, and sometimes we do, and we're like, oh, we have time. Maybe it might pass over. But that's when things transition into acceptance, and she's like, okay, this is how I feel safe moving forward. Now, most of that is just an environmental factor, but this is why I'm telling you guys you need to pull back. So, most of what she is going through is just the, I'll get your question in a second, Josh. Hold that thought. Just the environment. And she, and rarely is it ever personality. Going through the environment really is, this is why you need to pull back right now or at any time when there are valleys. Whoa, I can't spell. Or low points. You need to put on your steel mindset and realize this is a good time to focus on the biggest factor in the equation. You. You need to pull back and create space so you can grow, change, thrive. Pull this down. Thrive, learn, and truly become who you, but better. Because you guys all have that hero inside of you. Now, the reason why I say this is because that allows pressure to be relieved. Now, a lot of guys will go, wait, no, but wait, if I don't say the text, if I don't do this, this, and that, if I don't do that, well, she'll slip away. No, you're actually reaffirming that what she is doing is the right thing. It's a paradox. Okay. When you pressure too much, you are actually reaffirming she is on the right track because desire can be created with a sense of lack. Shout out to my mentor who taught me this. Mentor taught me this. So when she creates lack, that creates desire in you. And I'm getting used to this keyboard, but I like it. And uh, when she sees that desire grow out of emotional response, actually, sorry, not response, reaction. Like if I can, I'm going to bold, bold and highlight. The reason why this is so bad, right, is because of the emotional reaction that she sees from you. That shows her that what she is doing is, I'm going to say correct, but it's not, right? Correct. And that she knew it all this time. Okay. Now, did it again. Now, so while you go down, so by the way, I'm mapping it like this because this is the mind pattern, right? So, you pull back, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, the emotional reaction piece. Let's bold and highlight that. God damn it. There we go. Bold and underline that, right? And then she knew it the whole time. Okay. Then then that creates neediness in you for the dopamine, the I guess dopamine, we'll call it cravings, and the little validation points, and then the whole dynamic really shows its ugly head. Meaning she starts to lead the relationship into the ground. Now, I'm saying it like that on purpose. Okay. I'm saying she's leading the relationship into the ground because the dynamic has changed into you chasing, you seeking the validation points, you going, all right, what do I need to do to fix this and figure it out? Okay. But when the quick, it's very interesting. The quickest cases I see turn around the most is when, like, and I've talked about this, I think, about like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. The quickest cases I see turn around are pretty bad cases. Don wasn't in a good case, right? It was pretty bad. Um, uh, Conrad was not in a good case. He literally was sleeping on his air mattress, and in 2 days, before he joined, 2 or 3 days, he was gone. Um, Shane, horrible situation. Literally, already thought the divorce was going to go through, right? And everything was in her court. Paper signed. You know, they were going through whatever they were doing with the lawyers. 15K to see his lawyer twice. The wild, that's the wildest thing. Like you pay $15,000 and you see the person twice. That's wild. She was moved out across the street. Kids weren't really with him. He has an older, younger set. They're with her. But it's how they reacted to it, right? And to the situation. The whole not trying to put too much pressure, trying to force fix and taking a step back. And then now you create this space, right? To where you focus on yourself, you build yourself up. And I'm not about, I honestly very much dislike the people out there that are like, just focus on yourself and that's all we're going to do. No, this is your relationship. We're very active here, right? That's where these conversations come in. But what do I say? You want to be a marksman. I'm not telling you to get on the Humvee, load up the light machine gun, and just start putting lead down range. No. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be like the devil over Monty, right? If anyone's seen American Sniper, and we're going to wait, but we do take shots. Okay? We wait, take shots. Sometimes we take more just to gather some data, and then we pull back. Okay. We're very active here. That's the whole point because you need to lead. However, the biggest piece in the beginning that I want everybody to remember, right, that shifts the leadership. So she starts leading into the ground because she's taking it. You're reacting. It's this reacting game, right? She wants you to lead. Her feminine is asking you to lead. I have never gotten cases where I wouldn't say never. Yeah, no. I rarely ever get cases to where the guy's doing everything right, is the proper masculine, right? Not like insecure or anything, angry, like very calm, resolute leader is leading his family, and then they have problems. Of course, they're going to have some problems. Like I was just talking to John Shillingford, and he was like, "Oh, she's so mad sometimes," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is a new normal, right? You guys are back together. Your kids are back with you, right? And they're both scared. They're genuinely scared. This is what you wanted, right? You wanted your family back. Well, you got to still continue the principles. It's a lifestyle. And I'm telling you guys, most of the time, she's acting out of fear. That's where the anger comes from. Remember, anger sits on top of fear, fear sits on top of loss. Okay. So when she's feeling that sense of loss, she's going to lash out. A lot of people think that the loudest person has the control, but they don't. So that's where she starts to lead, quote unquote, lead the relationship into divorce, into separation, right? Because she is mirroring what she, one, needs, right? That masculine, harsh energy. It's not really harsh, but it's a mirror of what she thinks masculine is, because how can the feminine understand what masculine is, right? She can't. She just sees certain traits and go, okay, well, that's what it is. That's why I always laugh at the word toxic masculinity, right? The true masculinity isn't toxic, right? Now, a lack of self esteem, I hate the word toxic. And also, I'll use it like this: a lack of self esteem is poisonous. That's where the manipulation can come from on both sides, by the way. Both. Not just masculine, not just feminine, both, right? And so, in order to start leading, well, first, right, to avoid all of there's a couple more people. To avoid all of this, you pull back to learn. Did I already say that? No, no. You pull back to learn. My God. Pull back to learn. Hold up, sorry. Learn, grow, and become by practicing, deeply changing, and learning the ways of being a man, because it is a lifestyle and a way of life we've been following for thousands of years. So it's kind of like when someone who's super fat, we'll say super, super fat, we'll be politically incorrect here, super, super fucking fat, goes and hits the gym for 1 to 2 years without anyone seeing them. That whole, oh my God, what happened? That's what you want her to say internally. That's the power of taking slash making some space, right? Some space. Not no contact, not no contact. I don't believe in that. Not reacting shut down if she approaches you and not being cold to her, still be kind, strong, and confident, but take this time or the down moments to grow yourself. So when you take your shots, you are grounded in your masculine edge to lead, despite what is going on. Okay. So that's the biggest thing that I want you guys to realize. That's I mean, I literally told I don't know how many people they're like, no, should I do this? Should I do it? I was like, no, you need to pull back. You need to focus on yourself right now. Your mindset's a little off, right? She needs to feel that difference. Because remember, the brain learns in difference, right? And you get those aha moments when there's a big difference, a huge gap, right? And then when you're the one that fills in that gap of like, hey, of course things are going to be different because this was the old me, this is the new me. Look how far apart we are. Her brain will recognize and be like, oh, okay, things are different. I can learn that this is going to be different. Okay. So this is pretty basic, I guess, quote unquote basic, if you want to say that. But this is where uh, a lot of the big change comes from, right? And this is why the address the situation is so powerful because one, we come in and we extremely own and we lead, we say it, we ask her to open up. And then what is right after that? The man of steel mindset, where I'm like, you guys just focus on that and okay, kind of do a little bit of conversations. Okay. Have a little bit of some conversations. Okay. Um, and then start gathering data points, gathering bleeding points, and then go back to the man of steel mindset. Make sure you're always living in there, and then move forward to leaning into her resistance as you go through the modules, right? But most of those times, like me and Air had a really good chat about this on a one-on-one. But most of these times, right now, this is where the meat and potatoes are really made, right? Is having those moments of not necessarily pause, but just space, right? So you can work on yourself so you can actually gather the data and instead of fucking trying to jam it down your own throat, the situation's throat, and then your wife's throat, right? Conversations just going fucking ham like a bull in a china shop. You take a step back and you go, okay, what's really going on here? Let me have some situational awareness. What is actually going on? Okay.